Hello YouTubers, I'll show you some stuff that you might enjoy. This is how you put together handmade copper wire beads. Let me show you some of the basics here. I have some copper wire, 16 gauge, which is 1.3 millimeter. I have my favorite needle nose pliers, happens to be Grobet. JSP PL 9141 flush cutters. I always use my flush cutters flush to the left. And I'll show you some of the things that I do. First of all, I have one of these little screwdriver sets, you know, the kind in the blue box with a clear top. And the fattest one of those is what I use for my small things. A little bit larger, I use this dowel, and I use a progression of dowels like that. And this thing here, this will tell you what this is. This is 1 1/4 by 36 inch poplar dowel, and it's made in Madison. Let's see, genuine USA poplar, a renewable resource, saving the tropical rainforest, etc. So it's a very common dowel you'll find. So I have 1 1/4, I have 1 inch, I have this is 7/8 inch, this is probably 3/4 here, and so on, all the way down. Alright, now I take my wire, I pull out a length, 2 lengths, 3 lengths. No more than 3 lengths at this time. I cut with my cutters, and I try to cut as far up as possible here, not down by the tip. Reduces the strain on the cutter. That's particularly true when you're cutting 12 gauge, which is really very demanding on your cutters, and will cost you some cutter efficiency at some point. Okay, here we have about a half dozen pieces. This one, now they're all flush cut to the on the right hand side here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a loop in here, and then I'm going to make let's make a large one. So I'll make a large hoop like this. Okay, and that goes in my hoop pile over there. I have a piece that's not large enough to do that, so I'll simply take a loop of this and I'll put it over here and use it as one of my straights later on. Now, let's make some. I'm going to take my trimmed end here, and this is my 1 inch dowel. Right here's a 1 inch dowel. I use this for this purpose. I have a length here which is around, I can tell you the length actually. Why guess, right? Tell you the exact length, and you can measure this off on your workbench. It is 18 inches. It's 18 inches long, so somewhere between 18 inches and 1.5 feet long will work. Alright, now I'm going to take the trim end of this, hold it down with my thumb, and this is a little tricky, and I'm going to wind it real tight into itself, real tight like this. 4, 5, like that. Alright. Now, flush cut that. Put that in my refuse pile. Then pull out a little bit, pull out a little way. Make your loop here. Make the loop just large enough to take your wire. You'll eventually figure that out. And this one's already flush cut, of course. The other one wasn't. And I'm going to flip this over, complete it on the back turn, and then take about, maybe a 32nd of an inch, something like a little tiny thing, and get this in the center like that, and get that in the center like that. There you go. And now you have a very usable, what I call magic bead. Isn't that terrific? Alright, so I put one of these into a small bag, sealed up. And pull a vertical card, put it in, and put this in there like that. And that is a $4 retail item. Now, I can make that half the size, make two of these, so you get two, but then it's just a couple of lines, which is fine. It works well too. Then you get two of them for that price. But I do that with one that's a little bit smaller typically, although I can use any size for the purpose. Now, pretty much everything is going to take up one of these slices here, one of these 18-inch pieces. Pretty much anything you do is going to eat that up, and it's going to go into a little bag like this. So let's do something like a meteorite cage, a round meteorite cage. I also make triangles, but I don't recommend that to you until you get a little bit of skill. This becomes a little meteorite cage here. It's not easy to get these started. Oh. Like this. And you're going to wonder after doing this why anybody would want to do this for a living. And you'll be right. It's really a lot of work. So now you'll make an end cut there. And you're going to make a fairly large loop underneath here because you want this to hold that item inside there. Then you bend it down like that. Then you're going to take this guy, move him into the center like this, you see, and that becomes your suspending loop. That is a bear. I don't recommend you do this, but that is a bear. This one here is even smaller and more difficult to make. I'll demo that because it's worth the demo. For that I use a smaller dowel. In this case I don't have the dowel, I can't find it. So I'm using my micron pen for the purpose, and I will make a 3, 4, 5 wind like that. And like that. Now that becomes either a short cage or it can be a magic bead. I'll show you how the magic bead works even easier, which is to put the big loop, a huge loop, right at the end of your pliers like this, and then wind that on there, not too tightly, and like that. And then you'll have at the bottom here, like I said, larger than usual. You don't want this to be just the size of the wire because you're not going to put a wire through this. You're going to just let it block whatever's happening in there. Then you're going to bring this over to the center and bring it up, like that. There you go. Like this. And so now you have a complete bead like that. There it is. Neat, eh? And then you're going to just grab the bottom of it like this and kind of shake it out like that, like a slinky. Like this. See? And that becomes a cage. It's a round cage. Now to make a to make an Atlantean cage, I make a very super large loop on the top like that. I take 90 degrees like this, and then I start creating my triangle like that. A new PA head, so it's being tested next door as I'm doing this. Okay. There, once again, like that. And there's the triangular, like that. And then, if I want to make a large hoop, 1, 2, 3, like this, 4, and this is the super large loop, which I'm just about to make. You got to here. You do have to keep this small so that it will fit right around the wire. You don't want it to be too radical, and you got to watch this turn here so that it doesn't get too far out. Like that. There it is. Okay, that's a pretty one right there. And typically you're going to compress this as you use this thing. So here this goes into the thing and like that. There we go. So, like this. Pop it into there. There we go. I got it right now. Like this. There it is. $3.99. Your cost in that will be around $1, maybe $1.50. And it's a great introduction to students. I have a whole spinner rack full of these things ready to go. So there you are, and it'll eat up a box of these. You'll probably eat up 10 rolls of these things just to make your rack, I think. So be aware of that. It just eats up copper like crazy to make these things. And the worst of all are these little guys here. Those eat up so much copper you can't believe it. So enjoy, and you can get them from me or you can make them yourself. Either way. Happy with both.